India's growth outlook continues to strengthen with major global and domestic institutions upgrading their projections. India's economic growth accelerated to 8.2% year-on-year in July-September period, boosted by strong consumer spending and a front-loading of the production. It's the fastest growth rate in 6 quarters and it outstripped all estimates. Take a look at this report.
India's economy is progressing on a stable and resilient growth path, supported by structural reforms, digital transformation, and a strong focus on inclusive development. India has delivered another strong economic signal, reporting Q2 GDP growth of 8.2%, far above market expectations of 7.4%. Some of the key highlights are: real GDP has been estimated to grow by 8.2% in second quarter of financial year 2025-26 against the growth rate of 5.6% during second quarter of financial year 2024-25. Nominal GDP has witnessed a growth rate of 8.7% in Q2 of financial year 2025-26. The secondary and tertiary sector have boosted the real GDP growth rate in Q2 of financial year 2025-26 to rise above 8%. Manufacturing and construction in the secondary sector have registered above 7% growth rate at constant prices in this quarter. Financial, real estate, and professional services in the tertiary sector have sustained a substantial growth rate at constant prices in second quarter of financial year 2025-26. Real private final consumption expenditure has reported 7.9% growth rate during second quarter of financial year 2025-26 as compared to the 6.4% growth rate in the corresponding period of previous financial year.
India remains the world's fastest growing major economy in Q2 FY26, delivering an impressive 8.2% growth in September quarter versus an expectation of 7.2%. And what's interesting is that this growth is without the full impact of GST rationalization kicking in, which took effect on 22nd of September. We feel that the effects of monetary as well as fiscal easing done by the RBI and the government are kicking in now.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi said GDP growth reflects the impact of government's pro-growth policies and reforms. Prime Minister wrote on social media platform X, and I quote, "The 8.2% GDP growth in second quarter of 2025-26 is very encouraging. It reflects the impact of our pro-growth policies and reforms. It also reflects the hard work and enterprise of our people. Our government will continue to advance reforms and strengthen ease of living for every citizen." Unquote. Industry leaders have hailed India's GDP growth.
This remarkable growth is powered by strong domestic consumption, rising infrastructure spending, and a strong digital adoption across the country. A fast-growing economy like India needs seamless energy transformation. Expanding CNG networks would ensure that drivers, fleet operators, and businesses can sustain and improve every day. Most importantly, this growth is creating millions of jobs and giving wings to entrepreneurs across Tier 1, Tier 2, and now even Tier 3 cities.
India's growth outlook continues to strengthen with major global and domestic institutions upgrading their projections in recognition of the economy's resilience and expanding domestic demand.
The biggest driver this quarter has been manufacturing. Output has picked up, and this is visible in the IIP, which grew faster in the September quarter than it did a year ago. Consumer demand has also held firm, helping to sustain this momentum. As the impact of GST changes starts to show up with nearly 2 lakh crore flowing into the hands of households, it will add meaningful momentum to growth.
The RBI has revised its financial year 2025-26 GDP forecast upward from 6.5% to 6.8%, reflecting robust momentum across sectors. International agencies echo this optimism too. The World Bank projects 6.5% growth in 2026, citing strong consumption and the positive effects of GST reforms. Moody's expects India to remain a growing G20 economy through 2026 with growth rate of 6.4% and 6.5% in 2027. The IMF has boosted its projections to 6.6% for 2025 and 6.2% for 2026. The OECD has raised growth forecasts to 6.7% for 2025 and 6.2% for 2026. The SP anticipate that India's GDP will grow by 6.5% in fiscal year 2026 and 6.7% in 2027. With international organizations' confidence in growth trajectory of India and stable macroeconomic indicators, the economy is well positioned to sustain its economic momentum. Bureau Report, DD India.